Okay. I'm Sheriff Kerry Forestal, Marion County Sheriff. You've asked for an update on our search for Kevin Mason. Just to bring you up to a little bit of history, when he was originally arrested on September 11th and released on September 13th at 11:05, we became aware that he was released around 5:30 p.m. that night. He called for a ride, and we've been tracking that girlfriend since that point in time. She originally picked him up somewhere down here near the jail. She then went to obtain a new cell phone, which is kind of the deceptive type behavior we'd expect somebody when they're assisting a criminal. Later she went to a Walmart up there on North Keystone, purchased some men's underwear, a travel kit, and some men's slippers. So again, another day had passed where we could have tried to look for him and made it public, but we were using our covert operations to continue to follow her. On Monday, she took her car in for an oil change and tire repair, as though maybe she was going to travel. Again, we continued to follow her. Last night, she traveled outside of her regular area, which was the Southport and Emerson Avenue. There's a lot of hotels down there. We have that hanging up on a wall, but if anybody saw her check in a hotel down in that area, she might be hiding Kevin Mason down there. She has not cooperated. We arrested her today at 2 o'clock. She's employed as a healthcare worker in Carmel in the nursing profession. We contacted her to talk to her. She left her work. We arrested her at the Lowe's around 146th Street in Carmel. She's down in the interrogation room now. She was also with a second person, this girl here, who is not presently under arrest, but who stated at the time when arrested to not cooperate because Desiree Oliver would be out of here jail shortly. This girl, Chesnia Dawson, was also contacted several times during the time Kevin Mason was on the streets. Soon we are planning to do a more overt, uniformed operation. Colonel Martin will be designated here at our command post. We have teams from both Lawrence, Speedway, Beech Grove, IMPD that will be going to locations. We have some homes under surveillance right now, waiting for us to finish this press conference and giving the last opportunity we would have given to Desiree Oliver to safely surrender Kevin Mason or tell where she took him when she brought him from the jail. She's been arrested as assisting a criminal, which is a level 5 charge, which can be between 1 to 6 years and a $10,000 fine. I'm open to questions now. Yes, sir.
So, just so we're clear, did Mr. Mason check out or leave the jail at like 11 in the morning?
11:05
a.m. And then you became aware of this incident at 5:30.
At around 5:30.
So, the girlfriend, Miss Oliver, picked him up, and that's where he's been with her pretty much ever since.
Well, his conversation to her was, "I'm walking away and I will meet you." So some point in time, she picked him up. By the time we picked up on her, he wasn't with her. So she took him somewhere before we were able to get the tail on her. And we've had that, that's 24 hours where we had multiple cars that have followed her wherever she's been for the last 6.5 days.
Do you think he's still in Indianapolis, in this area?
Don't have a reason to believe otherwise, but when he originally was charged from Minnesota, I see in their report in 2021, they thought he went to Florida. We never heard that he had gone to Florida. No one's told us he's left, but our plan is to look throughout the city with this uniform presence and make it uncomfortable for anybody who might be keeping him. So if somebody wants to get him out of their house, happy to sit him on the front porch and we'll come by, because when we knock, we're not going to knock us the way we usually do. And a reminder to Kevin Mason, here's an opportunity to turn yourself in. 327-SAFE. A chaplain will answer that phone and we can arrange a safe surrender. Otherwise, if someone has a tip, it's 327-7940-7940. That will be manned 24 hours by our intel units of the Marion County Sheriff's Office for any up-to-date. You can call Crime Stoppers, 262-TIPS, and 911 if you see him. But the 327-7940 will be someone that's really familiar with the case.
How were you made aware that he was no longer here in the jail?
Chief, you know, what was that from the audit?
We were contacted.
Okay.
When the sheriff's office found out that he had left the jail, was there ever a BOLO put out to inform other agencies? If there wasn't, why wasn't it?
No, because we wanted to keep that as we knew we're following. We didn't want anyone else to follow him. I mean, I know you prefer to be notified, but this is the response we probably would have got 6 days ago, and we thought it was to our advantage to follow her until we find where they have him.
Where did they meet? Where did she pick?
He said he would walk away, and we did.
And we don't know
No,
where.
we don't know that.
Do you know where he'd been staying all of this time? It was our understanding he was in the community for the past 2 years. Where was he? Do you
No.
know where he'd been?
We don't know.
And where did we pick him up last? Where did you guys pick him up last week when you found him?
3100 North College.
Because of a tip, or because you just pulled him over, or do we know the circumstances?
The Marshal Service Task Force was involved in that. We'll just leave that for them.
Going back to the question, how were you guys contacted that he was no longer in the jail?
We were contacted by the detective.
Sheriff, I think there's still been a lot of concern from the community about this accidental release and then the passing of Deputy Durham. Why is the jail commander still in the position, and why hasn't anyone else been terminated or reviewed, things of that nature?
I rely on the jail commander, and I can't say we could put one person responsible for that. I think I've made it pretty well known that we're short-staffed, they're underpaid. That's not an excuse, but it's a fact. I mean, we're 25 to 30 people down in civilians. We're 75 detention deputies and 75 deputies. So people become overworked and make errors. But we have 4 layers that they go through that should not have had happen. 2 of these people blatantly had this occur. They're paid less than $20 an hour to do work and evaluate documents that are originally put together by lawyers and judges in court. So it's a difficult job. I did that job about 35 years ago, trying to figure out what this record says. Sometimes is difficult. They have multiple numbers. So, you know, I couldn't afford to fire the 2 people I did because we don't have another replacement. But I also could not afford to have people who would release somebody on murder charged to the street.
That was my next question was, what are you going to do in the meantime to fulfill their position?
Well, people just have to work harder and tougher.
You worry about burnout? I mean, that would affect you.
Absolutely. I think the Chief Freer was in front of the council at our budget presentation saying that sometimes people work 16 hours a day. And when they're doing that, they're getting paid, but at some point in time, they need to sleep.
One more question on this case. There's this third person, Ms. Dawson. What is her relationship to Mr. Mason? How did she kind of come into your orbit here?
Well, today she was with Desiree Oliver when we arrested her, and her first response was to not say anything, telling her partner, Desiree, to not say anything. But we know that she had been in contact early on in the investigation, so she has some knowledge of what was going on.
And where is she now?
She's also down in interview room at this time.
Okay, so she's in custody as well.
She's not under arrest. She's being interviewed.
Okay.
We'll see how her day goes.
And Ms. Oliver, to this point, has not been very forthcoming with information?
No, but she was arrested at 2 o'clock. She's been here maybe 15 minutes.
Okay.
And so are you saying there are houses right now that are under surveillance that when this ends and if Ms. Oliver doesn't give up the goods, so to speak, y'all are going in?
That's correct.
So I talked to the family today, and they're very upset. They said that for them, this isn't a mistake. This is a change in their life. They've been waiting for 2 years, and now this. What can you say to the Catchings family?
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, and we prefer that it would not have happened. Nobody intends to do that. I know Deputy Chief Creer has talked to the mother twice. He was on the run for nearly 2 years, and he was in custody for a short 48 hours. I'd rather no one get out of jail that's much less one charged with murder. We're doing our best to try to recover him.
After speaking with the family, they also say that they want answers knowing that this will never happen again. How can you assure them that this kind of thing won't happen again to somebody else, and how can you assure folks in Marion County that this kind of accidental release isn't going to happen again?
Well, we have 4 layers that they need to go through. I know there's been a 5th layer, but you would have thought 4 layers was enough. But making $38,000 a year, working day and night, it's a difficult challenge. I mean, would we rather have deputies in there? We had deputies there at one time. Costs were too much. We couldn't pay enough. Eventually, it became civilianized positions. So it's something we work on every day.
Why is this an issue? I know this is an issue around the state. It's just law enforcement not being paid enough to even make a simple living. Can the state legislature, can higher ups in the state do anything to remedy this issue?
Well, I think the state is important, but I think also locally here, we're paid lower than the market rate of surrounding counties.
Do you think this happening bolsters that budget request for raises?
I don't know. Each time I go down there, I'm hoping that.
You said fifth layer, that you're adding a layer. What's going to change?
Do you have that? Because I talked to Major Bostock the other day on the fifth layer.
So we've just added an additional step, that not only the two people and the third person that do the checks will add a supervisor that will have to sign off on certain types of releases to the street.
And also, if you're charged with murder, you only be released between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. Now, we should not be releasing very many people to the street to murder. So that should already be something that bothers you. If you go upstairs and you're bringing somebody down for murder, although that occurs sometimes, and we have people who make bonds. I mean, the day before this happening, a person who was from a known gang was released properly, but if I was down there, I would question why we released him, but they were released properly. This person, the same type of thing should happen. If you're saying, why would I send somebody out of here for murder? They need to be going to prison or be pretty well publicized that he or she was found not guilty by all of you, and they would know that's why they're going out.
Sure.
Dave, one more question.
It was the understanding that the clerk that made the mistake thought it was some kind of double booking, and I think I asked the question yesterday, how do you think, when you're looking at these two, how do you think murder and a parole violation is a double booking? How do you get that mixed up?
I can't understand that. There's clearly numbers that say otherwise. I mean, the fact that all three of them from Minnesota, is that something that she thought of? I mean, there's multiple counties and cities in Minnesota. You have to be detailed. But, I mean, that's why we can't risk having her make that decision again. That's why she was terminated.
Did you guys the sheriff's office contact the other agencies and
We did contacted the detective immediately.
Sheriff, do you think your national certifications could be in any sort of trouble after this incident?
I don't have an answer for that. We do this on a regular basis that we keep up on in certification. We'll review that.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.